So for today's video, we're going to be doing one of three of these goats. We have the Year of the Goat, Chinese calendar New Year guy. We have just your regular goat. And then we have the baphomet with the star and the curly little horns. We're going to need a couple of things. First of all, I'll be using worsted weight yarn. My main, it's just a medium number 4. Whatever color you're going to do. The main color, as for this one, will be red. And then the accent color will be yellow. And I will be using different yarns throughout the video, but I'll be referring to the main color or color A and the accent color or color B. I'm going to be using a 4.25. We're going to need our scissors. We're going to need a darning needle. Some safety eyes, and I believe these are 14mm safety eyes. Some pins. A wire brush if you have it. If you don't have it, we'll just leave one step out and they'll be brushed a little differently as an end result. My original plan here is to have a base, so all these are done exactly the same, and then the horns are different. In the future, I'm going to do like an ox, a horse, a tiger, and 99% of it will be the same but a different video, and then we'll just do like the ears for the cat instead of the horns, and a mane and ears for a horse instead of the horns. Okay, what else do I need to tell you? Oh, at the very end of this video, I start saying goodbye, and I totally forgot to do the star. The star is in this video, but it's at the very, very end, after I say goodbye. So just hang tight when you get to the end, or it sounds like it's getting to the end, and the star will be down in there. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with the body in the main color. You're going to just make a loop, or do your magic circle or your chains, however you usually make your rounds. And in this first loop, we're going to do 6 single crochets. So pull the yarn through, chain up 1, and then you'll do your 6 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you're just going to keep going, starting in that first chain 1 single crochet, and you're going to put 2 single crochets all the way around in each stitch for a total of 12. This tail is in my way. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. And that is the end of row 2. And I'm just going to grab a little chunk of yarn as a stitch marker, just in case I get off track talking and forget what I've done. So for round 3, we're going to do 1 single crochet and then a single crochet increase into the second stitch. So 1 and then 2, and then we're going to do that all the way around for 18. So 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8 and 9, 10, 11 and 12, 13, 14 and 15, 16, 17 and 18. Now for round 4, we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to do 2 single crochets and then our increase. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20, 21, 22, and our last increase for 23 and 24. Let's flip your stitch marker. So for round 3, we're going to do 3 single crochets and then an increase all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 into that same stitch, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 and 25. That should be our last set. 26, 27, 28, and then 29 and 30. next we're going to go for 36. So we're going to do 4 single crochets and then 1 increase. Oops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6 for the increase in that same stitch. 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11 and 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18 in the next stitch. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 and 24 in the next stitch. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30 in the next stitch. This should be our last round. 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35 and 36 in the last stitch. So that was row 6. Now we'll do row 7. I'm going to do this row a little bit differently as far as counting, just because math and doing this and all at the same time, remembering what I'm doing. I'm just going to do 5 single crochets and then an increase for 7 all the way around instead of counting all the way to 42. And you know if you've done it right if you end with a an increase in the last stitch. So it's off the top of my head, it's probably 6 increases, but let's get along and get going here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7. So here's where I'm going different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7 in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7 in that next stitch. And this should be our last set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're coming up to our last stitch here because there's our stitch marker, will be right there. 6 and 7. Okay, now from row 8 to 15, we're going to just do 42 stitches all the way around. And then when we get to number 15, when you finish number 15, I will come back and we'll get started on the next part. Okay, so you should have just finished your 8 rows of 42 single crochets and ready to start row 16. And for row 16 on for a little bit, we're going to be decreasing. So to begin, we're going to do 5 single crochets and then 1 decrease for a total of 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. I don't know why, but my yarn has decided to squeak after all that. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. I apologize for the squeaking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and decrease. 1, 2, whoops. 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. And that brings us right to our stitch marker. For row 17, we're going to decrease 18 times all the way around. You want to try and get these on the tighter side. This is the first time I did that many decreases from 36 to 18. And you got to be really careful when you're stuffing it, that you're not overstuffing it to see the spaces. So, whoops. Did I even decrease? Yeah, I think I did. 1. So, sorry, I'm going to start that over again. Just to be sure. So 1 decrease. 2 decrease. 3 decreases. 4. 5. 6. 7. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Just kind of guide that a little bit into a circle. And now for row 18, you're going to do 18 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Okay, now we're going to start increasing again. That's the hardest part of this whole thing, is getting that to come in like that without leaving a whole bunch of spaces. For row 19, we're going to do 2 single crochets and then an increase for 24. So 1, 2, and an increase. 3, 4, 5, 6, and an increase. 7 and 8, 9, 10, and an increase for 11 and 12, 13, 14, then 15 and 16 in the next stitch, 17, 18, and then 19 and 20, 21, 22, and 23 and 24 in the last stitch of round 19. So for round 20 and 22, you're going to just do 24 single crochets all the way around, and I will meet you back here to start row 23. For row 23, we're going to be doing 3 single crochets and then an increase for 30. Stitch marker. marker's almost running out here. So, right there. So 1, 2, 3, and an increase for 4 and 5. 6, 7, 8, an increase, 9 and 10. 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15 are an increase. 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20 are an increase. 21, 22, 23, and 24 and 25 is an increase. 26, 27, 28, and 29 and 30 in the last stitch. And now for row 24 to row 29, you're just going to put 30 single crochets all the way around, and then I will meet you back up here to start row 30. So you guys should now be ready to start row number 30, which is going to be 3 single crochets and then a decrease for 24. So 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. 4, 5, 6, 7, and a decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, and a decrease for 16. Am I at 16? 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20. 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24. For row 31, we're going to do 2 single crochets and then a decrease for 18. So 1, 2, and a decrease. 3. Oops, that was 3. 1, 2, 3, so 4. We're on number 5. Then a decrease for 6. 7, 8, and 9 is a decrease. 10, 11, and 12 is a decrease. 13, 14 and 15 is a decrease. 16, 17, and 18 decrease. Now, we can do the rest two ways. For row 32, it's going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease all the way around for 12. And for row 33, it's going to be 6 decreases for 6, and then you'll close off. But it depends how much space you need for stuffing your guy. I like to put my eyes in when he's stuffed, and then I got to take the stuffing out, and then I close them back up. That'll be later on, but so I'm going to leave mine open at 18 so that I can get the stuffing in and pull it out and get the safety eyes in and all that. So make sure, if you're going to stop where I'm at right now, make sure you leave quite a long tail, because you're going to need, what, 18 more stitches in there, I think. 12 plus 6, 18. So, I mean, I'm going to leave way more than I need. Like, I'm going to leave all this, maybe a little bit more. Just because you don't want to run out on your last couple stitches. And you also need to tie it off and all that jazz. So, I am going to cut it. Cross my fingers that I left enough yarn. And then what are we going to come back and do? Probably the muzzle and put in the eyes. Okay, so let's get started on the muzzle, or the nose, whatever you want to call it. And you'll be doing that in your main color, so the same color as your body. So make your loop or your magic ring, and we are going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you're going to go into the second chain. I'm just going to put a stitch marker in there just so that I know where my stitch is going when I get to the other side. We're going to be going down this side, increasing here, and then going back up this other side. So first we're going to do 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to put 3 single crochets into this last stitch right here, and kind of work them around to the other side as you go. So there'll be 1, this tail is in our way here, and then kind of twist and go into make your next single crochet, and then twist again and make your next single crochet. And now you're going to put 4 single crochets across the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 single crochets into this last stitch, right where your stitch marker is, if you used one. And I'm going to flip that back over. And now you're going to do an increase and then 4 single crochets. So 1 and 2 in the same stitch, and then 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to do 3 increases around this side here. So 2 single crochets in the stitch, 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Then you're going to do 4 single crochets along the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to do 2 increases. So 2 in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and 2 in the next stitch. And you should have 20 stitches. And then you're going to do 3 rows of single crochet all the way around, 20 stitches. So row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So now we'll do our second row of 20. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and our last row, number 3 of 20 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then you'll just slip stitch into the next stitch and leave a long tail for sewing that on. And we will come back and do the arms. Okay, and now for the arms. So take whichever is your accent color and you'll make a loop or your magic ring. And we're going to be putting 6 single crochets into the loop. So pull through, chain 1, and we're going to do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, whoopsie, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to put 6 increases into each stitch all the way around for a total of 12. Okay. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. And now we're going to do one more row of 12 single crochets all the way around. I don't know what that is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now we're going to decrease. We're going to do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease all the way around for a total of 8. So 1 and 2 is a decrease, and 3 and 4 is a decrease, and 5 and 6 is a decrease, and 7 and 8 is a decrease. Now don't go pulling your yarn all the way through because we're going to do a color change. So leave those 3 loops on your hook and get your next color. And I'm going to be doing red as my main color on this one. And you'll just tie that on there, or however you like to do color changes. And we'll snip off the yellow. we're going to do 5 rows of 8 single crochets. So 1, whoops, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's 1 row. And I said 5, but it's actually 6. Row 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's 2 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 3 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So 2 more rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's 5 rows, and onto our 6th row. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I don't know why my lighting is really dark. Okay, so now we're going to stuff that. You want to get it pretty firm down in the bottom of the hand. And then lightly stuff the arm. I think this is probably going to be too much. Make sure when you're stuffing that you're not stuffing it so tight that you can see white and you're pushing out your stitches, because then you're overstuffing it and you're just not going to be as happy with it if you see your stuffing go through there. So get your hook back in. Make sure your top thread here is where it's supposed to be. And you're going to fold it with your 1 stitch on the one side, and you're going to come into this stitch, and this stitch. And you're going to do 3 single crochets. Make sure you get on through both sides and nice and tight. 1, 2, and 3. And then you can tie that off. Leave enough of a tail so you can stitch that back on. And I will leave you here. You make 2 of these, and I'll come back and we'll start on the legs. So I decided the black was too hard to see. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get to the horn, but let's do the beginning of the hoof here, or hand, in a different color. So this will be your accent color. And you're going to put 6 single crochets into your loop. So pull up and chain 1, and then 1, 2, 3, whoopsie, I got a knot, 4, 5, and 6. And then you're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch around for a total of 12. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. I got a whole mess here. Something's happening. See if that helped. Okay, for the next row, you're going to do 1 single crochet and then 1 increase for a total of 18. 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8 and 9, 10, 11 and 12, 13, 14 and 15, 16, 17 and 18. And now you're just going to go all the way around, 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Now you're going to decrease, so we're going to do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease all the way around for a total of 12. So 1 and 2 is a decrease, 3 and 4 is a decrease, 5 and 6 is a decrease, 7 and 8 is a decrease, 9 and 10 is a decrease, 11 and 12 is a decrease, but don't pull your yarn back through. Leave your 3 stitches and then we'll change colors back to your main color. So I'm going to grab my black one again here, get my stitches back on, and then change to my main color, which has been blue. And now we're going to do 5 rows, oops, I gotta cut that black, 5 rows of 12 single crochet all the way around. Get a little organized here. Okay, so pull your main color through. And we'll do our first row of 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We'll do our second row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We'll do our third row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And our fourth row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And just double check that was our 4th row. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now our 5th row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then you'll just tie that off, leaving a long tail for sewing. I leave way more than we need, but let's see. And then you'll just firmly stuff this. If you're on your second one, make sure you're stuffing it similarly to your first one. Or you're going to end up with a skinny leg and a fat leg. There's a little too much in this one. Okay. So make 2 of those, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, so now let's start on the horns. So you're going to make your loop. Make it fairly tiny, or do your magic ring so you can cinch it up. The first few rows are not going to be fun. And I'm going to grab a stitch marker, because we're going to only do 5 single crochets and we're going to do a couple rows. So do yours, pull through and chain 1, and then now we're going to start on our single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to do 2 more rows of 5 single crochets all the way around. And when you're starting and going around, make sure you're going in each loop, because it's going to look like the one you were just in is the one you're going to go into next. And you'll see that here in a second. So start your first single crochet. So there's 1. So our next is way over here. We're in this one, and this is the one we got to go into. 2, and you can cinch that up a bit if you want. So our next one is way over here. There's our stitch being pulled into that stitch. So this is our 3rd stitch here. And then our 4th stitch is right here. Give it a little tug. And then our 5th stitch is way over here. So that'll be considered finishing round 2. So now we'll do a 3rd row of 5. Starting stitch is way, can you see that? See that one's in that stitch? Our next stitch is way over here. We're going to do 5 more single crochets all the way around, just like we just did. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if you're struggling for this, doing it this tiny, just take your time, pause the video, get your 3 rows, and then start back up wherever you paused. Okay. So we're on row 4. Row 4, we're going to do an increase and then 4 single crochets. So 2 in the first stitch. 1, 2, and then 4 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I got my stitch marker out and I forgot to even use it. So let's get that in there. I'm going to tuck mine down in a bit so it's hopefully out of my way. Okay. So now there'll be 6 single crochets. Most importantly, just make sure you're in the right stitch when you're going around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now it'll start getting a little bit easier as our stitch count gets a little higher. So round 6, we're going to do an increase, and then we're going to do 5 single crochets around. So an increase, and then 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For row 7, we're going to do 7 single crochets all the way around. 1, whoops, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. For round 8, we're going to increase and do 6 single crochets all our way around. So an increase, 1 and 2, and then 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For row 9, we're going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. For row 10, we're going to do 1 increase and 7 single crochets around. So 1 and 2, and then 7. 1, 2, oops, catching my 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, I'm getting a little awkward here. I switched position and now my one arm's resting here, but my other arm's just kind of floating in the air here. I've got nothing to rest it on. Okay, so for row 10, oh wait, no, we're on row 11. Row 11, we're going to do 9 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Right about here is where you're going to decide how long you want to have your horn. I'm going to be making kind of the medium sized. I don't know if you can see this. So right now our horn is that big. So if you're doing the goat, you might want to stop at here. If you're doing, you want it exactly like this guy. I'll put a photo in later. I can't get them all in right now. He'll be medium, and I haven't done the baphomet horns yet. But if you want to go longer, you'll just keep going around. When we get to the 12 stitches at the end, you can just keep going for as many rows as you want in 12. So let's keep going. And we're going to start on row 12, I believe. And we're going to do an increase and 8 single crochets all the way around. So 1 and 2, and then 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. For row 13, we're going to do 10 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. For row 14, we're going to do an increase and 9 single crochets all the way around. So increase 1 and 2 in the same stitch, and then 9 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. For row 15, we're going to do 11 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, for row 16, we're going to do an increase and 10 single crochets. So increase 1 and 2 in the same stitch, and then 10 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And 17, row 17, we're going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, now that was our last row as far as I went for the goat and the year of the goat guy. If you're doing the baphomet, and I don't know how to say that, so please excuse me, I'm just saying it how I see it spelled. If you want to go longer, because he's kind of got these long bumpy horns, like for my other goat, I kept them this length instead of short ones, but I kind of curled them down and over to the side a bit, just manipulated them with my fingers. You could put wire in there if you want to, but I didn't feel I needed to. Okay, so I think that's all our parts. Oh no, we have a tail yet to do. So I'm just going to finish this off. You keep going if you want your horns any longer. Just keep going in rows of 12 till you feel like you have it the length you want it. And we'll just slip this off, tie it off, and leave a string. A little bit of a tail first, sewing that back on later. And we'll come back and do the tail. Okay, now we'll get started on the tail. And he's just going to be just like this. If you don't have a brush to brush this out, that's okay. We can leave it at a different stage. So leave a bit of a tail for tying it on the bum. And we are going to chain 11. Make sure you're grabbing your ball of yarn. Whoops, I'm way out here. Your ball of yarn and not your little tail. I've done that a few times. Get going and it's like, oh wait, that's the wrong side. So chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this piece is going to feel like just a dream after doing all the other pieces. So you're just going to do 5 slip stitches starting in the second chain from the hook, and then 5 single crochets. And then make sure your chain stays straight. You're not twisting it and getting over here. So keep that chain straight. In the second hook, slip stitch, second stitch from the hook, another slip stitch. Oh, I said it was easy here. 2, another slip stitch. 3, another slip stitch. 4, and 1 more. 5. And now just 5 single crochets. And I'm just grabbing the outside loop here. I don't know if it ever really matters. 2, 3, 4, and and 5. But do it however you are used to or like to do it, or you think looks the best. And that's it for that part. You just slip stitch and pull your yarn out. Leave a bit of a tail. Those two ends are going to be, will go into your body. And this will be the tip of your tail. So to make this little part, just grab your, oh yeah, that was my main color. Grab your accent color. I wonder if my camera can catch all of this. Or you can cut strips about this long. What is that? About 8 inches or so. I just wrap around my hand a few times, like 6 or 8 or whatever. Cut down here. Don't cut these. Don't cut these yet. Because that was just to get more of the amount. And then I'm just going to keep folding it onto each other. So I'll get my ends together here. And then I'll get way down here. And then I'll bring them together. And then I'll just keep folding it on top of itself until it's the length I figure I want. And that might actually be enough. Because when we put it in, we're going to have to fold it over like this. So I think that's almost too short. But let's see if I can get it in there. So if you consider this your top, it's not really going to matter. I kind of just, whatever side I end up with, I end up with. Right now I'm being a little more conscious, so I'm going to have this as my top. Stick your hook from the bottom up to the top, making sure you catch more than one of these loops. And I've got quite a few, so I might not get this through here, but let's see. You're going to want to pull that through there. I got them all? Oh, I think I did. Don't pull it all the way through or you'll have to do it again. And then you want all these loops to go through there. So that's why I said I probably didn't make it long enough. Always better to have a little more length and cut it. But I'm going to make it. So pull them through. Yeah. I think the last time I did 6 strings, and this is going to be way more than I need. I think I got 8. It'll still work though. Okay. Now what you want to do is cut all your ends. Yeah, I'm going to regret having that many. Because now you are going to want to untwist every single one of these into their little individual strands. And there should be, if you're using the same as me, there should be 4 of these strands. And you're just going to take every one by one. And can I get in there? And take them apart like that. So I think I'm going to stop the video while we do this on our own. I did just finish saying this was the easy part. But I mean, this is different than we've been doing. Probably been spending a few hours or maybe even a few days on this. So it is a little different, and maybe you're learning something new doing this today. So I'm going to pause, or I'm going to turn this off and come back when it's done. You pause your video, have a coffee, have a drink, take a break, come back, whatever you want to do, and we'll finish up the tail. Okay, so now you should have all your little threads separated. And if you like it like this, it's fine. Just leave it how it is. If you don't have a brush, this is just a little pet brush. Oh, I still got yellow in here. Little pet brush from, oh, I think I got this one from Walmart. And all you're going to do is just brush out all these little hairs. Now, I don't know I haven't figured out yet how to do it, so I'm not doing it on my hand. But it doesn't take too long. Brush it as much or as little as you want. Maybe you want a few of those little... I actually like when it's kind of not straight across. And I hope I'm not wrecking my tablecloth here. But I probably am. Look at that. So, that's all you do. And now, I think that was our last piece. And now we're going to put them all together. But I think I'm going to come back tomorrow because it's almost supper time. And my husband just came home. So, I think it's time for a videoing break for me. I just twist the tail. I might brush it more later. I haven't decided yet, but... And there's your little tail. So I will see you guys back here to put everything together. Okay, for the ears, we're going to do 6 and 12 into a small with the accent color. And then we're going to do the back in the main color. So I'm going to be using yellow again. Yeah. Oops. So make your knot or your magic circle. And then we're going to be doing 6 single crochets. So grab your yarn, pull through, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2 single crochets in each stitch around for 12, just like every other one where we started. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. And then you'll just slip stitch into the next stitch, tie that off, and you'll cut it fairly short because you're going to want to tuck this in behind. And then get your main color. And you're going to start that exactly the same way you just did the yellow, or your accent color. And make a loop. That's not a very good one. And then you're gonna do 6 single crochets into this loop. So chain 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you're gonna do 6 increases all the way around for 12. 1, 2, oops, sorry, that was 1 and 2 in the same stitch, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. Then you're going to put a slip stitch in the next stitch, and you're going to grab the inside of your ear and you're going to put the wrong sides together. Get your yarn on the other side of your hook. Yeah, sorry. And you'll want to get this part just behind your needle, just behind your crochet hook, because you're going to start in here and in here. So go through your first layer and then get in your second layer right there. It might be tight. And then pull through and do 1 single crochet. And you're going to do 1 single crochet and 1 increase all the way around for 18. So the next one we're going to put 2 in. Make sure you get through both sides and all 4 of your loops there. So that's 2 and 3. And this will be 4. 5 and 6 and 7, 8 and 9, 10, 11 and 12, 13, and when you get to 14 and 15, just stop there for a second, and you're going to want to make sure you have all your ends tucked in. And you'll do 16. And hop into here, just on this side of your knot where you slip stitched, and that'll be 17 and 18. And now you're just going to do 18 single crochets all the way around. And this is your first stitch right here, not this one. This first stitch right above there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Now you're going to fold your ear in half with the accent color on the inside. And you're going to put 3 single crochets in here, however you can get them in there. So 1, and I'm going to put a second one in that same stitch, 2, and then the third one back here. Just push in there, make sure you get a couple. So I got at least 2 pieces of yarn there, and that's your third. And then tie that off with a bit of a tail for sewing on later. And what are we doing next? We're doing the tail, I think. Okay, so now we're going to temporarily stuff the head, and then we're going to sew the muzzle on. So grab your stuffing. You're going to also need your pins and your darning needle. If you have lots of pins, use lots of pins. Whoops. Maybe just a tad more. Whoops, I keep hitting my camera. Excuse that. Okay, so this is where we used our stitch marker, and I'm going to make that the back. So we'll flip it around, and it doesn't matter if you're here, here, here. Just generally have your stitch markers in the back where you went up in your rounds. All right. Take your muzzle, and if you can see, this is where you did your big 18 decreases. You're going to want to put it just above that. And normally, you'll notice my eyes aren't on here yet. Normally, in most patterns, you're told, like, put it on the, like, 6th or 7th row. If you're coming from the bottom, the 30th and 35th. But I don't want to have my eyes in here already, because if I say I put my eyes here and I put my muzzle and I get sewing, and my eyes are going to be way up here. Or say I put my eyes down here and then I'm going to have to put my muzzle way down here when I want it up here. So get that positioned. Most importantly, what you want to make sure when you're going around is all your stitches line up along this. Hold on. Along this line right here, or whichever line you've chose, and the top are in this line here, or whichever line you chose. And I think I've got 4 to 5 lines in between. So I always start on the bottom. Let's see if I can turn this so I'm not shadowing myself. And this is another reason why, if you don't have the eyes in yet, you don't have to worry if this is centered between the eyes. I mean, you will have to unstuff again and restuff. But in my opinion, that's a lot easier to do than to have your mouth sewed on and your eyes and your mouth are not lined up. So I think I'll put one more in the bottom here. And then I'm going to move up to the top. And just squish that however you feel you want to have it. If you get it lined up right the first time you do it, then you're not going to have to keep coming back to it. So I'm going to be stitching on this row here. Once I get all my pins in, keep a firm grip on your up here and keep it in position while you pin. And don't worry about overkill. If you've got the pins, use them. My stuffing's going to be in the way, but I will fix that as I go around. Get a couple on the side. Just kind of keep checking that you have that in the shape you want, where you want it. Whoopsie, I made a bit of a dent there, so I'm going to pull that out a bit and pin it. It's looking pretty good, I think. I might put a few more pins in. I feel like this side needs to go up a bit. I'm even going to put a few pins in here, even though they're probably not reaching anywhere. Okay, so just take your string here. I'm going to tuck my extra strings back in here so they don't get in my way. And now you can follow me along for a little bit how I'm going to stitch it on, or stitch it on however you prefer. To get started, I'm going to go down right where my knot is here. See, I'm going to go right in there and through here, because I'm going to be going down and around, but for my first one I want that knot hidden. So we'll hide that knot. And then right where this green pin is, that's where I'm going to put in my first stitch. So you go in there, catch at least one thread on the bottom there, and then come through. All the while, keep your thumb on here with steady pressure. You don't want to be squishing it out of place, but you don't want to be letting it move either. So then we're going to go into the next stitch. So we went through that one. We're going to go down into this one. Just catch a little bit. And remember, we're going to be going along this line here now on top of our, where we did our 18 decreases. If your pins are in the way, take them out. If they're not, leave them in. Like I have a few less pins here than I wish I did. So just keep going around like that. Try not to catch the stuffing, because it is a bit of a pain to try and get it out and off, especially if you're doing like a black color or a dark color. That's those little fibers just show right up like crazy. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going around just like this. So up the side till you get to where you're going to put your top stitches. So sew up to about here, and then go straight across into there, and then down into here, and you'll go into one of these stitches and tie off, and then you'll pull it. You put your needle through out the back, give it a good little tight tug, and then I will meet you back to put the eyes on. So I've gone all the way around, and then I said I better tie it off with you guys just in case this is the first time you're making one of these. And if it is, I apologize for not making this beginner friendly. But by the time you're here now, you've probably, if you've stuck with me, you're going to have all this down. So you just grab that one of these strings down here and I make 2 knots. Just because I don't trust that it won't stay together. And then where you made your knot, you'll just find the little hole right beside there. And then come through the back. Now if I was doing 2 of these, like say the arms, I would pull them both through the back and then tie here. When we get to the arms, you'll see. And then just cut that and it'll bounce back inside the head. You can shape your nose a little bit. And then now we'll put on the eyes. I just got a little bit of a mess here. So my eyes, I bought this little pack through Amazon. I have no idea what brand, and I'm not going to put a link down. But it's actually really good for a little starter pack, because you get different size of eyes, you get a few noses, I haven't found a big use for the noses yet, but I've actually ordered more of these, and they're the 14 millimeter eyes, and I've also ordered 20 millimeter eyes. So we'll be using the 14 millimeter eyes today. So I'll take 2 of those and their backs. And we'll pull some of that stuffing out. Not all of it, because we're going to want to see where our eyes go. And I usually kind of come up from the side of the nose here and just 1 or 2 stitches. Actually, I should have left that stuffing in while I placed them and then took it out. Okay, yeah, we are all wonky here now. Okay, so just come up from the nose. Up from the nose. And then just see if that's where you like them. Main thing, keep it in the same stitch across. And I might go up and over 1 more. It's hard to tell because I did pull all the stuffing out. Up and over 1 more. This is where you're just going to start making them your own now. Give him his little character. Nope, over 1 more. I think that's good. So, for me, I am in the, let's see how we're going to count this. So that's for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm between 9 and 10. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 to 7 stitches apart. So now I'll take the stuffing out. Something's stuck in there. I don't know what. There's a lot of stuffing in there. And then you'll just fold that inside out a bit. Find the end of your eye, your safety eye. And then just squeeze her down. And do the same for the other eye. Listen for that click, 1 or 2 clicks. Now we'll restuff. And when you're stuffing the head, kind of remember that we have a really deep crease here, so you want the stuffing to go up here and out and not fill in here as much. So you're not looking for a circle, you're looking more for a bit of a mushroom shape. So get over to the sides a little bit when you're stuffing it. So see how that's kind of filling out there, but not as much on the bottom. You will really, if you try and make it round, you're really going to stretch these stitches, and then you're going to see the stuffing through there. I think that's about enough for there. We'll put some in the body. And put a little bit for stability in the neck, but you don't need too much. Remember, don't overstuff. always add a little bit extra when you're down to your last 6 stitches when you're closing. Make sure he's the shape you're happy with. I think I'm good. I wish I could see more of this. There. Okay, so now get your crochet hook and we're going to close him off. And remember, whoopsie, we left off at, I didn't bring my pattern up, but we left off, where did we leave? 18. So we're going to need 12 stitches. So we're going to do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease for a total of 12. Make sure you get that back nice and tight how you had it when you first finished. Okay. So, if you can see this. Oops, I got my string on the wrong side of my hook. Okay, so, and watch you don't get that stuffing. I gotta get back into position that I was in yesterday. So 1 single and 1 decrease. That's 2 stitches. My yarn's really had a time here. 1 single for 3. 1 decrease for 4. And if you're having a trouble with the stuffing, just get your finger down there in between, just like you're working a flat piece. So 1 single, which is 5. 1 decrease, which is 6. 1 single, which is 7. 1 decrease, which is 8. 1 single, which is 9. 1 decrease for 10. 1 single for 11. And then a decrease for 12. And you'll know if you did it right if your last decrease is coming up to your stitch marker. Okay, so now we're going to do 6 decreases, so we'll have 6 stitches. Make sure they're on the tighter side. But it is the bottom, so if you do see the stuffing, it's not going to be quite as bad. So that's 1 decrease. That's 2 decreases, and I'm catching my stuffing a bit, sorry. Three decreases. 4 decreases, and just keep moving that stuffing out of your way. 5 decreases. And 6 decreases. Or did I do 6? Anyways, I'm at my stitch marker. I may have counted wrong. If not, it's not going to matter because we're going to pull this in and tighten it up. So I might have 5, you might have 5, I might have 6. So you did your slip stitch, pull your, see I did way too much extra. I think if you're, it's too late now, but if you make another one, about 2 arm lengths should be enough, of more than enough actually, when you're tying this off, if you do another one. I'm actually going to cut this because I don't need 3 feet of yarn to pull through. Okay, so get your darning needle. And you're just going to weave in and out of these stitches and then tighten it up. Manipulate it a little bit so that this will be on the flatter side. You don't want this to be a round bottom because you're going to want them to sit like this. So see that. It does kind of look like a mushroom. Okay, and then just find a place to tie a knot in here. I like to do mine close to the center so I can pull it down through the middle. I'm going to do a double knot here. Maybe that would happen. And then we'll just pull it through the bottom and out the back somewhere. Make sure it's actually between stitches, so you're not pulling through these threads and splitting them. And cut. And there is whichever goat you're making with the, oh, I guess I'm making this for all my, you might have a totally different creature going right now. But right now I'm making the goat. Okay, for the nose, you're going to get your accent color, probably about 3 arm lengths full. And then you're going to double up your yarn and get your hook in the center of that yarn, because we're going to be doing this 2-stranded. Now to get started, if you see, this is where you attached your muzzle to the head. Go up 1 stitch and then come up through the center of the nose where it's kind of flattens out, and leave a little bit at the end, about 4 to 6 inches, just a little bit longer than your body. You can always trim that later. Then you're going to come down through the center where your starting chain was on your muzzle, and you're going to come up and through the next stitch beside where you just went through. And you're going to do that again in the same stitch, and then over 1 more. And then back and through in that same stitch, and do the other side. Make sure both your yarns are staying fairly tight. We'll do that 1 more time into that other stitch beside. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done that 5 times. Okay, so now you're going to go back up through the center into the first place you went. So 2, and then the center. So up through there. Now you're going to cut your yarn right where your needle is and thread on 1 side. So you still got the 2 strands, but you're going to work with 1 strand. And you're going to find the split in the very first stitch you made in the center. And you're going to go underneath all the stitches on 1 side. And then you're going to do the same on the other side. Thread that side on. Find where that was split. And then go underneath. Now put both strings back on your needle, so you're working double-stranded again. And you're going to go back down through that center hole and out through where you started here and left your lengths of string at the beginning. Make sure you're not twisting all of that around. And then just gently pull those ends in, and you kind of get a bit of a nostril. And for the bottom, cut what you have left. And you're just going to tie a knot under the chin here. And pull that tight. And then for the next step, and I'll go through this a little better in the end when I do the tail, but you're just going to divide all these strands individually. And then once you're done, you can either leave them how they are or you can brush them out. Last one. If you want more, you can come back in here and put a few more of these in here. Just put your crochet hook in and pull it through like I don't know what you would call it. I guess it'd be kind of like a slip knot. I probably should have took this yarn off my hook. I don't know why I didn't. Do I have my brush with me? Well, there go my pins. And then you just brush that out. Okay, I'll finish brushing this out. And we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so let's put the arms on now. So what you're going to want to do is kind of line them up where you figure you want them. So mine are just a little hair behind where we have the eyes. And I'm going to pin them there. And we're going to be sewing them right in this crease. The pins might not do much good once we get going, but we'll see what happens. And I got my string to the back because when I get up here, I want to kind of give it a pull so that it can kind of tip a little bit. Instead of sometimes you'll have like a little loose side, and I want that in the back. Okay, let's get our yarn threaded on our needle. And I'm only going to put about 3 or 4 stitches in. You put in as many as you want. So I'm going to grab this back stitch here, and I'm going to come up and through one of our single crochets we did at the top of the arm. the first one in the row. And this will kind of hide the knot in the back and hopefully keep that nice and tight. And then I'm just going to go through the next single crochet we'd made and grab, let's see if you can see this, just grab the next stitch in line there. I think, yep, next stitch in line is right there. Oopsie. And then we're going to come back up from this side, or however you want to sew it on, up to you. This is how I seem to be doing it on all my other ones. Look at this. Look at this disaster. The joys of sewing the parts together. See, pinning it was pointless. And then I'm just going to come back. So I came in that one. So I'm going to have to go down in here somewhere and just catch just in front of the arm there. And then we'll just, I'm going to go back through one more time and then go underneath to make my knot and get that useless pin out of there. And then I'm just going to put a knot in one of my loops and give it a tie. I'm only going to tie this one once because I'm going to go in and I'm going to retie it back here. Okay. So now we got to line these back up again. Remember, if you did the first one with the string in the back, do the second one with the string in the back. Line it up about where you want it. Whoops. Ooh, I just snagged my tablecloth. Put my pin back in. And then same as the other one. Just catch a stitch. I'm going to do mine upside down here. Catch a stitch and then come up through one of your single crochets. Not quite in it. Can you see that? I got my light on the wrong side of me, but there's a wall on the other side, so I can't really do much about that. Go down and through, pick up a stitch. Let's get rid of this pin now. Go back up and through your next stitch. Still looking pretty even. And then go down. And however, I'm going back through. I don't think I did the same thing on that side, but. And then just go down through again to get to the underside. So all you can see is my hands. Sorry about that. And they look like they're pretty even. And you're just going to tie your knot down here again. So now come through. I'm going to go in front and out the back. Try and get in the center. It might be over one stitch or so, but do the best you can. Then get your other string from your other arm. Do the same thing. Just put your needle in the front of the arm and back out the back in the same stitch you took the other arm through. Oops. So give them a little bit of a tug and then just knot them up. And I'm going to do 3, I think. Careful not to cinch it too tight. Watch what it's doing on the other side. You don't want them really so tight that they're coming like straight forward. I don't know if that's possible, but... And then you are just going to take your ends and put them out through the back bottom somewhere. So put your needle in that same stitch you just, all your threads came out of, and then just out the bottom. And okay, see how you can kind of see that little knot? Just give it a little bit of a tug and it'll break free. And no one will know what you just did to tie that up. Okay. So now I think we will come back and do the legs. Okay, for the legs, you're going to want your pins out again. And you're going to want the string on the bottom. And you're just going to kind of place them, oh, it's hard to see, a couple stitches apart and evenly between the nose. You're going to want to make sure that you do it while he's sitting. Just so you can make sure that you don't... put it, if you want him to sit, I mean, you could do him like this too. Oh, actually, that's kind of cute. I actually kind of like that better than sitting, but I'm doing all mine sitting, so we'll make him sit. Just because he probably won't stand on his own. Okay, so once you've decided where you want them, and for me, I think it's kind of between the nose and the arms. I'll know once I get them pinned. So just pin all the way around again like you already did with the muzzle. I think he's a little high, but I will check him once I get going here with the other leg on. So string on the bottom to keep them even, line them up with the row. You just pin that guy on, and kind of between the nose and the arms. Right now it's looking like there's 2.5 stitches between them, but depending on how you crochet, different or the same from me, yours might look a little bit different. Wherever you're happy with the legs, that's where you're going to put them. But before you sew them on, just kind of test them out a bit before and after, just so that you're going to be happy with them after. If you have to move them now, a lot better than having to move them or undoing it or not being happy with your guy. So I think I am happy with that. So look from the bottom. So I'm going to let you guys sew those on your own. And what am I going to do next? I'm saving the horns for later because I'm doing this as a base for all the different ones. And this guy might end up with ears that are like a cat, or who knows, no horns. So if you hear me talking about horns or some other part that doesn't belong on the guy that you are doing right now, don't worry. It's just, this is my very first one, so I keep forgetting that I'm going to be making tons of different animals with this same base. And then just like the characters mostly in the head, characteristics in the head are going to be changing. Okay, I'm going to go let you guys sew those legs on. I'll sew my own legs on. And then I think I'm going to probably do the horns, which will be the ears if you're not on the goat or the ox video. Okay, so now we're going to put the horns on. And if you're doing the baphomet, I'm just going to say, and I'm going to put a little note on the horn video. I did 5 rows of the 5 single crochet at the top, and then I did 5 rows of the 12 single crochets at the bottom, just to make it a little bit longer. So this is the medium-sized one, and then see, it's just a little bit longer. I just thought then maybe I could curve the tip a little bit more there. Okay, for the horn, you're just going to line it up. Any of these 3 horns for the goat, the Chinese New Year guy, and the baphomet. If you can see where your center is on the top here, your very first row you made, you're just going to line up just a hair below so that you're catching the stitches right in here. And then we'll pin that into place. Make sure you have your string on this side so you can hide it a little bit when we put the ears on. And you know what? I still got that up top high. Make sure it doesn't slip down as you're going around. And double check that you have your bottom here going around, matching up with the bottom of your horn here. And that should do it. Make sure they're even. Don't worry about how they're bending here. You'll fix that later. I've just folded them, but you could put a wire in there if you want. Okay, so we will stitch that on just like we did the muzzle and the legs, and then we'll come back and we'll put the ears on. Okay, now for the ears, you're going to put them on just like you put the arms on. So you're going to want, I have one on already, and you're going to want to just match them up, and they're going to go directly behind the horn here, or beside, like this. I'm coming back, I promise. All right, and I had this one, I started in the back, so make sure you start them both in the back, whichever way you're doing it. I'm gonna have to. So you're just gonna take a stitch, and I should have done the other one. Always find the left side harder. So you got it there. Maybe if I go around the camera. Then you're going to come up through this stitch. And that's going to tack your ear up. I wish you guys could see this better. Maybe like that. And then you're going to go through the next stitch here and down into the next stitch on the bottom. You're basically just sewing those 3 loops you'd made, 3 single crochets to fold it over and close it onto his head. Okay. Then I'm just going to come up here and secure that the front down a little bit better. I'm going to come down. You'll notice that these kind of don't line up as much. On this side it looked better, but when you flipped it around, so you're just going to come in one of these stitches here, and then in one of these stitches here, and that will kind of even them out. And then just tack it down in here. I think I went like this. then tack it down and come back through. And then you'll tie it off back here underneath the ear. Check that they're on the more even. And then you'll tie. Maybe if I can get in there. I know I'm going to hit the camera. I need to pick a different stitch. That one's too tight. There we go. Sorry, this is looking so awkward. I'm basically, my arms are out all the way straight out, and I'm trying to fit this in the camera. Then you'll just put your needle in where you made that stitch. Come up through where your other string came from your other ear. Just like when we put the arms on and all the other body parts, you should have done it this way. I can reach. Ugh. And I'm going to put this through, take it out through the bottom. I mean, I'm still here. I just bent my elbows for a second. Go down in there. Come out somewhere in the back of the head. Put that off. And, well, oh no, I gotta make a second video so I can put a header on it. So there's your, he just needs a tail. And then I think we're done. So I will be right back and we'll put the tail on. Okay, so all you need to do now to attach the tail, which I'll put these guys this way. Oh, you can't see that now. This may be the easiest part. And we saved it for the end. I'm just threading my needle. So all you need to do, find the center of your bum and put one thread on one side. You're going to go like this on each side and then come through here. So one on this side. And then one on this side, about 2 to 3 stitches apart. Just enough that it kind of will still spread that out. But make sure, actually, you know what, I'm going to put this, I want this, I took them through both the same side, but I want this stitch to be in between, so I'm just going to put that over through to the other side. Just so there's a little bit more between there. Actually, now that I've done that, that's not how I did the rest, because now I would have just thrown it in and hidden that knot, but now I got to make sure that knot. So do it how I was first doing it. That's probably better. But if you make a mistake, like I just did, we're just going to fix it by pulling that knot through one of these two sides here. I mean, I'm probably not going to be seeing it anyway. And then just cut that. And I don't know which one you've made, but you should have one of these three done now. Oh, I forgot about these. I'll come back and do those. Just be right back. Okay, for these little guys, all I did was I took some of my extra, you know, all my extra tail ends, and I just made a little, kind of like you're going to make a pom-pom. And I took one of the longer ends and tied that. So you've got this wrapped, and then you've got, oh, I've almost got an arm's length worth doubled up. And then you're just going to tie that. I can't tie this long string, so I want this one to come up and through. Hold that one. I'll put an extra knot in there if you want. And then cut these, and then cut them the length you want them. And then you want to get both these ends on the darning needle. I have no light over here for some reason. Sorry. One of these days I will figure out a setup that works better. But I'm just starting out and I'm kind of just trying to get a few things loaded up. So I went down into here. So on the inside, it would look like this. And then I came out through the middle right here. And then I wrapped, so it's going to look like this. And then on the outside, I went around, and then I went up and through. I can do this without this is inside on there, and then I just tied it and secured it like that. Remember, this part is on the inside, and then this part is on the outside, and then you just tie that and hide the end inside. Well, guys, congratulations, we finished this big project. Go ahead and make all three if you want. I will be making more. I think I'm going to be making the Year of the Ox with a regular ox and maybe a cow. I'm going to do Year of the Tiger, but I gotta figure out how, if I want to stripe as we go down the body or put stripes on after. And then I'll also do a cat and maybe an orange tiger. And then also, did I say horse? Do a horse, a unicorn, and I don't know, maybe a donkey in the same shape. But I'm going to take a bit of a break from this because I've been doing this for 2 weeks, trying to get all three of these done, and videos and pictures, and I still haven't even loaded it on the computer yet. So like, subscribe, leave a comment, question, and hopefully in a week or two, maybe less, I'll have the next set done up. Thank you for watching. Take care, be safe, and happy crocheting. So in my haste to be done, guess what we forgot? We forgot the star. So I am just going to outline a triangle. Might have to bring that in, bring that up, and then probably, where should we have it? About there, about there. We'll see how that works out. So I went up, and then 2 down here, a couple rows above the eyes, and then over here and over here. Even with these, I think we'll just be trial and error here, but if we get started, mark it out, and then we'll stitch it in after. So that one will go up there. I'm not sure where I want to end this, but I think I got my spacing right. I'll go around that. Oh, come on. Pull him out a little bit. So I think that will work for the star. Maybe put this one up a little bit. He's going to come right up through the center where we started, looks like. So play around with that. I think, I don't know where I want mine to end, but I feel like I want it to end here. I think. So we'll just, we don't have to do this together, do we? Or should we? I don't know. Let's see how much black I have here. We'll do it together and hope that I do it right. This will be my first try. Hopefully I brought enough out. So I'm just going to go in through here and leave a little bit for tying. I'm going to come in on this hole. And I'm going to do it just like I would do a star if I was writing one out on a piece of paper. So I'm going to come down here. Let's get rid of this. I should have just took it all off. Come down here. We don't know if we're doing this right or not, so come over here. And I'm going to come up where this red one was. I think I'm going to be a little bit crooked here. We may have to play with this a bit. Yeah, that needs to go over more. So we need there, come down. I'm coming down a little further than my pin was, so it matches that. Oh, and maybe I shouldn't have. So there. Sorry. Okay, I gotta come back in that one. I mean, we might have to do these stars are different a few times. Look at what we did here, or I did. Because that is too high. I think the rest is even, but this little, actually it's gonna work out if I'd done it right how I had it the first time. I'm going to take this one out and put it in just a hair lower. Remember I moved that? Put it in there. See how that works. Not too bad. Now it seems like it needs to go higher, but maybe it just needs to split there a little more. Well, for our first try, not knowing what we were doing, we didn't do too bad. I think I would move some of these a little. But you guys can play with your star however you want it. I'm going to tie mine and leave it. I probably should tie it up there. But I'm not gonna. All right. Okay, now we're done, guys. Well, if I could ever get this, if you're still here, thanks for watching, because I'm basically just struggling now. And I appreciate the fact that you guys have stuck with me through all of this. Get this done. I hope you enjoy making these. If you want to share your work with me, I've got a Facebook page, and at the very top I've got a little YouTube picture pinned to the top. It says if you want to share your work, put whatever you want in the comments in there. I'd love to see it. I haven't seen anybody's yet, but I know lots of people have been watching, especially the Huggy Wuggy and the one heart. So I'm officially saying goodbye. You guys have fun creating and crocheting. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.